I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 484. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood, and I want to share with you that I just came back from a beautiful Scandinavian vacation where I went through Norway and Denmark and Iceland and went with my son and his family and a couple of my sisters and my daughter-in-law, who I call my daughter, her parents and her cousin. It was a group of love and connection, and my 3 grandkids who were the entertainment for the whole vacation. And today, what I want to share with you is that as stunning as the scenery was and the experiences, as rich as they were, I want to talk about something I noticed that really struck me. And I think you probably know a little bit because since what I talk about all the time is my thinner peace process, I want to tell you what I noticed. So, I was traveling with a group of my family, and meal after meal, I heard the same things all the time. Oh, I'm so full, but I have to finish this. Or I paid so much for this, I might as well eat it. Oh, no, not another course. I don't know if I can eat it. Or I'll never get this again, so how can I not eat it? There was a lot of rhetoric going on about this. And a lot of people kind of complaining and holding their bellies. And I'm not saying everybody, and it's not even, I don't want to sound real judgy about this because that used to be me all the time. But since I've been creating this thinner peace process, which I've been doing this podcast for 8 years already, and created this whole process for myself because I was one of those people that didn't know my hunger signals. I didn't know when to start and I didn't know when to stop. I only knew that if I was on a diet, I followed it. And I always knew that if I was on vacation or it was the weekend, I was free to eat whatever I want and disconnect as much as I want, as if I was doing myself the biggest favor ever. So if this was me on vacation 15 years ago, I would have been saying the same thing. That's exactly what I should be doing because I'm on vacation. And I think some people still feel like that, the food is never the same. The company is never the same. There were a lot of meals that were really, really expensive. And there were some things where there were courses and there was one course after another. But I have to tell you that when your body says stop, even though you paid for it, even though all the things, you still have to stop as respect to yourself, even if you paid all that money. And, it reminded me how much we all tend to override our bodies, especially when we're on vacation, especially when it's the weekend, especially when there's a celebration. There are all these occasions where I think we believe that we shouldn't pay attention to our bodies, that if our bodies say stop and it's special, we shouldn't listen to it. And it really wasn't until I learned from a life weight coach about this question of why do you eat when you're not hungry? And what would it be like if you never ate when you weren't hungry and only ate when you were hungry and knew when to stop, which is how I created this whole thinner process. But, what I want to say loud and clear is vacation is not a reason to disconnect from your body. nor is a celebration, nor is a special weekend. There is no reason. Especially for me, the reason always was I'm not on a diet. So therefore I can do whatever I want. But I want you to think that just because you think it's a special time, the food is special, you paid for the meal, everyone else is eating more, you're in a new place, does not mean that you have to ignore your body. And that is my thinner peace process of learning how to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, no matter where you are. Now, listen, your body does not know that it's on vacation. It still will tell you when it's hungry, and it still will tell you when it's full. And it still needs your respect, respecting our own bodies, which is what I call self-love or self-care. It's when we listen to our bodies. I think sometimes, at least I used to think that I was doing myself this big favor or allowing myself to eat all this food that I would never eat again, even though it was way beyond what my body could even enjoy. And I'm not saying that you can't have some of these foods or that you shouldn't. As long as you can do it like with a joy eat that's not a fuel eat, that you can eat it bite by bite and stop the minute that you're through enjoying it, is such a wonderful tool. And it helps so much. Like when we were on a vacation like this, like, let me tell you something. Especially like in Copenhagen and in Norway, breads and all these sweets, that's kind of their specialty. And it's not that I didn't eat it. It's just that I could eat it bite by bite and stop the minute I was through enjoying it so that I didn't end up feeling sick, which is what happened with some people, is that we eat some of these foods that looked, and I will tell you, looked delicious. And depending on what your mind says, like, I'll never get it again, or it'll never be this good, or whatever it is, you have to really learn how to watch your own mind and what it thinks that's creating these reasons to eat food when your body is clearly saying, no, thank you. So that's why I always come back to the simplest, most powerful practice that I know, which is what I just said, and I can't say it enough, is eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. So here's something really interesting. I had a conversation with my grandson, Sebastian, who's 10 years old. And I was speaking with my son, BJ, who is the COO of my company. And we were working on some marketing and some newsletters on how to get the thinner peace process across. We're always working on that. Like, how can I help you more understand how to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full? So we were talking about this. And my grandson was also on this trip. And he was hearing me and my son talking about eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full and what the consequences are, and about how it's so important to honor your hunger and fullness. And this is what my grandson said to me because he happened to be listening as we were talking about this. And he told me that he was staying with his other grandma while we were on the trip, and that she was saying how full she was from dinner and that her tummy really hurt her. And he remembered it clearly, and it really stood out to him, especially after hearing me talk about listening to your body. So even at 10 years old, he could see that ignoring your body's signals has real consequences, that if you eat past full, you don't feel good. He saw that connection in his own life, and he saw it for somebody that he really loved. And it reminded me how natural this is, how intuitive it is, that we're born knowing it, and then we slowly start unlearning it through diets and pressure and habits, and even vacations and celebrations and weekends where our little brains start to say, we don't have to pay attention, only because somehow through our own culture, we've learned to use food in a way that's not helpful. And when we start depriving ourselves and restricting ourselves, food takes on a whole new thing. And I think it's just really, really important to note that in the end, no matter where you are or who you're with, your body trumps. And that if you don't listen to it and don't respect it, not only do you not feel good, the scale isn't going to do what you want it to do. There's so many things that happens when you stop paying attention. And it's not about deprivation and restriction. It's about no, thank you, because I'm not going to feel good. So here's what you can do. The next time you're on vacation, or maybe this weekend, or maybe it's just a celebration. I want you to pause before you eat. Just take a little pause and ask yourself, am I physically hungry? And then you can do what I've taught about many of my podcasts about the physical hunger scale that goes from a -10 to a +10. And what I advise is eating between the twos, starting at a -2, which is the whisper of hunger, and stopping at a +2, which is a whisper of fullness. And then halfway through, as you start eating, you ask yourself how full I am. First, it's how am I physically hungry? And then when you're halfway through, how full am I? Can you put a number of where you might be? Maybe you're at a +1, maybe you're at a +2, maybe you're at a 0. But wherever you are, put a number on it and know, can I continue to eat or do I need to stop? And it's kind of like having a conversation with your body, or what we call a mind-body connection. It's the way you were born. It's the way it's always been. But here's the thing. If you're full, if you're at a +2, which is what we're talking about full, the cost of overeating is never worth it. Not in money and not in memories. In fact, the best memories are when you're present. And when you're present to your body, you're also more present to what's going on in the present moment, which is the best way to make memories. If you're eating past fullness, you stop connecting, you stop paying attention. So it's like it's another way to pay attention. And listen to this too. Here's something good to remember. You paid for the experience, but you don't have to pay more with your body. You paid for the experience, but you don't have to pay more with your body. Sometimes we eat more on vacation because we're trying to hold on to joy, or we're avoiding discomfort. Maybe we're lonely. Maybe we're out of our routine, or we're just swept up in celebration. That's human. But that's also a sign to pause and check in. It's not a reason to disconnect. So listen, you can enjoy food, you can enjoy travel, you can enjoy your life without ever overeating again. In fact, when you stay connected to your body, everything becomes more enjoyable. You're present, you feel good, and you come home without that old diet regret. And even more than the diet regret, you come home feeling good in your body. No belly aches. You just feel good and you're able to rest comfortably. There are so many upsides to taking care of this. So, if you want to learn more about how to stay connected to your body and you like what I'm talking about, you can always just set up a mini session with me where we can spend 30 minutes and we can talk about how I can help you become more connected to your body, or where you get disconnected. Is it vacation? Is it the weekends? Or is it something totally? Or do you not even know when you're hungry or when you're full? I'm amazed at how many people I talk to that don't even know, because I was one of those people. When somebody asked me, do you know when you're hungry and do you know when you're full? I really didn't have an answer for that, because that is not what I went by ever. I wanted to know how much food I could get into my body without gaining weight. That's all I was concerned about. So listen, until next time, I want you to, and you know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it again, especially after doing this podcast, that no matter where you go or what you do or what country you're in or visiting, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.